What I can tell you is I am literally the happiest person on earth. And your ego does that to protect you, and it works. Because if your drive comes from avoiding failure, you'll eventually hit a ceiling. If the fuel in your tank is fear, anxiety, or scarcity, you will burn out.
What if the key to unlocking your highest level of leadership wasn't found in another business book, but in the darkest corners of your own story? Our guest today coaches some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and executives, not despite his past, but because of it. After surviving a violent childhood and the tragic loss of his father to suicide, Michael Shaw embarked on a 30-year journey to answer one question. What if I could train my emotional resilience the same way I train my body? He's the founder of the Mastery Mindset Library, and he's here to dismantle the myth of the invincible leader, revealing how so many of us hide our anxiety behind hustle and mask our burnout with bravado. Get ready for a conversation that goes far beyond mindset hacks. We're going to talk about rewiring the very foundation of who you are to build a life and a business that doesn't just look good, but feels good. Michael, welcome to the Self-Aware Leader.
Jason, thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here. And I just want to state before we get started how much I appreciate the space that you've created, not just for its focus on leadership strategies, but for challenging us to look inward. True leadership isn't just about managing others. It's about mastering yourself.
That's so good. And I know, and we'll get into your website, and I know at the end you have an offer, so I encourage everybody to stay tuned to that. It's a valuable offer. But I want to kind of get into high achievers and dismantling the myth of this invincible hustler. And I know in your impact mastery framework, you talk about embracing a true alpha spirit. So for the leader listening who sees a contradiction, can you redefine what alpha means for a
Well,
modern self-aware leader?
absolutely. And being a true alpha is part of my I am declaration. And for me, what a true alpha means is someone who is always learning and always teaching. And I think many leaders will identify with that. When we learn something new, we can't wait to teach it to other people so they could bring that value to their lives.
Yeah, that's so good. I kind of want to, before we step into all the different, what you offer and what emotional fitness looks, I kind of want to step back, if you don't mind, and go into how you were raised. It's something, absolutely horrific happened to you, and you've been open about surviving a violent childhood and the loss of your
Sure.
father to suicide. And I know many people try to bury that or run from that level of pain or don't even want to open that Pandora's box, but you choose to turn it into your life's work. What's the process that did you find from turning this profound pain, not just into purpose, but into this practical, replicable system that you have?
Right. So it's very appropriate that you used pain and purpose there because what we find is that our pain is parked right next to our purpose.
Mm.
Okay. And this is about taking a journey back to your trauma, because your trauma, whether it happened, whether it was extreme or it was as simple as you were an only child, your parents brought a new sibling into the world, and now the love and attention you were getting is no longer on you, it's now shared.
Mm.
And for many people, that's where it starts. And how do I get that love back? I'm going to overachieve. I'm going to excel at school. I'll excel at sports. Then they'll have to love me. They'll have to recognize me. They have to give me that attention back. And that's the simplest analogy for me to bring to this, because what that is doing is building a belief system built by your ego.
Mm.
And your ego does that to protect you, and it works. But when you continue to use that belief system decades later, a lot of those beliefs no longer serve you. So you continue to put this energy out based on your ego, and you get, we all know, energy out, energy that comes back. And that's what keeps you stuck. That's why you say, how do I keep ending up in this place no matter what I do? No matter what win I have, no matter what success I have, I seem to end up feeling the same way or being in the same situation. Regarding how I used that, I realized that the identity that I had built my success on was the same one keeping me stuck because I had been leading from not being enough, fear of losing what I built, fear of being exposed. And the truth is, you can only lead from fear for so long before it catches up to you. And the persona that I had built to survive could no longer carry the weight of the childhood trauma I had never fully faced.
Mm.
And that was the moment for me that everything changed and where the real work began, healing old wounds and rewriting my inner narrative and learning to lead from strength, not from survival. And for leaders, this is a crucial insight because if your drive comes from avoiding failure, you'll eventually hit a ceiling. It
Mm.
doesn't matter how many hours you work, how impressive your wins look from the outside. If the fuel in your tank is fear, anxiety, or scarcity, you will burn out.
So and you developed those, obviously it was super traumatic. The scarcity, the fear of not being good enough. Like, how did you process that? What were you thinking as a child? Like, after all this stuff happens, are you living with your mother or your grandparents?
All right. So my father actually committed suicide when I was a child. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I didn't clarify that. Um, the growing up with domestic violence is part of my reality. When we hear that, at least for me, you always imagine what on TV or in the movies, like drunken father coming home and there's beatings. It was not like that. It was more confusing. My father was very loving to my brother and my sister and I. My father coached my baseball teams and came to all my sporting events and helped me with my homework, etc. He would fly off the handle. And I was put into the role of protector, the age 14, 15.
So nothing was
Uh,
safe.
so here you can actually see in real time how it works and what it did and how my ego built this persona for me.
Yeah, just to
So
survive.
on the outside, so now I'm 14, 15, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I have to do to make things right? I'm going to own money. So I take that financial stress off. I'm going to lift weights and get strong and learn how to fight so I can protect myself and everybody else. I'm going to push. I'm going to excel. I'm going to have no boundaries, no limits, no anything. I can do anything. I'll have no fear. But then I'm riding home from my girlfriend's house at night on my bicycle, riding miles an hour like I'm flying, just in case I have to get home because I need to save my mother.
Mm.
So
Oh, right.
is driving everything. We have this persona of no fear. As an adult, I opened my first business was a personal training fitness business, which I built into a success. I compete in bodybuilding. I compete in Muay Thai fighting, triathlons, etc. So my whole persona is built on strength. I'm Superman to people.
Right.
Think about how directly opposed that is to the fear that is just natural fear inside of me, worrying that I'm going to lose everything. Nothing feels like it's on solid ground,
Right.
but I'm the one that everybody comes to.
Because you look good and do you feel like it was like a weird way, and maybe I'm totally wrong with this, but like in case you ever had to stand up to your father, you were ready?
I did have to
Maybe
stand.
never had to.
I did have to stand up to my father many times.
Be
So
strong.
I had to literally separate my parents. I had to fight my father off. So what that did, ego wise, is build a hero complex.
Oh,
So now I'm always looking to be the hero. I'm looking for situations to where I can save the day, be the hero in
right.
relation. It just led, and from the outside, I was very successful. I was building businesses, like I said, competing at a very high level in all arenas, pushing for my next win. But underneath, I'm running on survival mode,
Mm.
driven by trauma that I hadn't faced and beliefs, like I said, that no longer serve me.
Isn't it wild that the trauma can go 2 different ways? Because this is always so interesting. You could have turned into an alcoholic or done tons of drugs, but instead you went into extreme. Because bodybuilding is an extreme sport. Fightings can be pretty extreme and
Yeah.
also super entrepreneur. There's a
Right.
lot of risk involved. It's just
Sure.
so interesting how we could either take 2. It's still the same trauma, still the same
Well,
drama that's
that's
happening
that is
live.
an extraordinary point that you make because for addicts, I don't care if it's drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it is, You could do all the 12-step programs you want. Okay. You can wear a patch. You can do any of those things until you take your journey back to your primal trauma, to your psychic break, and walk hand in hand with your child self. And either with the help of a coach, a therapist, or someone guiding you to tell that child self that it's okay, that you're safe now, you will not cure that addiction.
Mm.
So, yes, some people's ego, let's go back to the simple example. I started with having a new sibling in the world, and now you want that love and attention back. Some kids will do that by overachieving at school,
Mhm.
overachieving at sports. Some kids will do that by acting out, by fighting with other kids, by becoming antisocial. Okay. But the root cause is the same, right? And either way, unchecked, that belief system is going to affect them and show up somewhere down the road. You might be in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. It's going to show up.
Yes, yeah. How does it usually show up? We can either use you as an example or those that you coach, but how does it usually does it pop up like like those whack-a-moles that they keep popping up no matter what
Well,
you do?
what I can tell you is for me, it was how do I keep ending up in the same situation? Why do I have this empty feeling?
Yes.
Why am I walking around feeling like I'm made of glass and everyone can see through me and see the fear and the discontent and the anxiety that I'm feeling? I think the simplest term I could use for the way it most often shows up is people feel stuck. They feel unfulfilled for some reason in their lives, no matter what's gone into building the life. When there's a difference between how you feel and the size house you live in and the car you're driving and the clothes you're wearing, because
Mhm.
that's stuff, but it's not your life. It's not your heart. It's not your soul.
Yeah, let's stay there because this is so on point, Michael, with the I get a lot of DMs that say, "I just don't feel anything." Like, I'm VP of this, or I own my own business, and like you said, I have a nice house, a nice car, but I have no I'm just bleh, like, my feelings
Yeah.
aren't is it did you use the word discontent? Do you think it's that, or is it just
Well,
this unprocessed
so
trauma?
that is because you're living a life that is out of alignment or what we call out of alignment or out of integrity. The real work is shifting from being a high performer who's constantly chasing the next thing to becoming a grounded, self-aware leader who operates from purpose, clarity, and inner stability. And that shift starts, and you commented on this when I first got on, with your I am declaration. For me, it's about a dozen statements declaring to the world who I am and how I show up. And that only comes after taking that journey, right? After revisiting your psychic break, your initial trauma, walking through that, examining your belief system, okay? And we literally go through, usually it's about a 30-day exercise where every day we examine a belief that we have and decide if it's serving us or not.
Mm,
And if the belief is no longer serving you, imagine yourself in a boat and that belief is either helping you float or sinking your boat. In your boat, you have to thank it with love from your heart because it did serve you at one time and cast it out. Okay.
yeah, that's so good.
And then at the end of that 30 days, when I do with my clients, is I literally have a ceremony, which is their rebirth.
Mhm.
Okay. With their new belief system, I need you to come back to me with your I am declaration. Tell me who you are and how you show up in the world. And once you own that declaration, let's define your 5 or 6 core values. You will not compromise because they frame how you want to live. These become your decision making filters. So if an action, an opportunity, or a relationship doesn't align with those filters, with those values, you either change it or you let it go. How much status or how much comfort it promises. So when people tell you, I feel blah, they haven't done that. They haven't done that work and they're not in alignment. And that's what they're feeling. They're feeling this just, or by not feeling anything, they're
Mhm.
feeling stuck. They're feeling out of congruence. They're feeling out of alignment. And just so I'm clear, living in alignment isn't about perfection. Okay. It's about congruence. It's making sure that who you are on the inside matches the person or the leader you present on the outside. So you have to be building your business, leading your team, and living your life in a way that feels true. Okay. So you can stop performing and start living and lead.
I want to get into the emotional fitness litmus test. I know your concept of emotional fitness, and it's brilliant. But if our listeners were to do an honest assessment today, what do you think is the number one sign that their emotional fitness is dangerously low, even though their business metrics could be at an all-time high?
I think that number one sign is what you brought up before is where I'm not. I'm seeing one life and one, if we had a chart, I guess there would be a line going up and that would be your financial, your performance, and then your how do I feel line. So it's what I can tell you is I am literally the happiest person on earth today.
Wow, that's a
And
statement.
if you can't say that,
Right.
then literally, if, and I don't, this is not hyperbole, if you cannot say that, then you need to do some work. Okay.
Yes.
Because I could not always say that. But this, what you develop when you do the work is what I call an opportunity mindset. Okay. And this is in comparison with a gratitude mindset. And here's how this works. You could wake up and say, I'm grateful for my wife.
Mhm.
Okay. It's a beautiful thing. You're grateful to have this life with your wife. What I find better and more effective is I'm grateful for the opportunity to love my wife and share my life with her today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. I could get hit by a bus. She could get hit by a bus. One of us could get sick. Anything could happen. She could wake up tomorrow and decide she doesn't love me anymore for that opportunity today. And I bring that literally to every part of my life. When my dogs come up and jump on me and lick my face and everything, I just sit in that moment because I am grateful for the opportunity to have that moment. Okay. So what I can tell you, and this is one of the reasons I actually got into coaching, is because I started to recognize on a regular basis, I would look around and just say, I actually have everything I want in this life.
Mm.
That doesn't stop my drive. That doesn't stop my entrepreneurial spirit. Okay. But when I stop and I look around, I'm happy. I have the love that I want. I have the security that I want. I have the ability to travel, to use humor in my life, to make people laugh. I have knowledge and empathy. These are my core values. And not even on purpose, but having done the work, when they all aligned, I felt it.
Mhm.
Okay. And I feel it every day. I feel it while I'm here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you and to your audience. I just hope I'm expressing and articulating that this comes because I went back and I walked with that scared child, with that
Mhm.
hero complex, and I overcame that belief system. And I built a new belief system that works for me as a 57-year-old man right now. And that brings me into alignment and gives me this gratitude for each day, for each opportunity, and this confidence and this clarity.
Yes. I want to kind of get into because I think this is so interesting. I know you have four pillar framework: awareness, rewiring, alignment, and activation. I want to get into those, but I kind of want to bridge the gap between you being the happiest person on earth and this 14-year-old boy that's going super fast on his bicycle with fear. So how did that start happening? Because here's what people don't realize. The 14-year-old boy on your bicycle with fear, worried that you got to pull your dad off your mom. That 14-year-old kid on his bike going super fast, he can build a business super fast. With fear, that motivates you to do amazing things. And so you have people that have spent 20, 30, 40, 50 years building off of fear, building off of I'm not good enough, building off of I need to hurry, be fast to go pull my dad off my mom. That is like amazing fuel to build things. But it turns into here I am, like you said, 57 years old. The other side of that is I'm 57 years old. I'm depressed. I don't have anything. I just drink all the time. I can't relax because I try to, but I never can. I'll have people on vacations and they're like, I don't even like going on vacations because
Yeah.
it's blah to me.
So we actually said it earlier. You just used the word fuel. If the fuel in your tank is fear, anxiety, or scarcity, you will eventually burn out.
Hmm.
So yes, that fuel can get you there. Um, like I said, the belief system built in your ego does serve you.
Hmm.
But when you finally get to that point where your happiness, your fulfillment with your life is way out of whack with everything you've achieved, and you're saying to yourself, I've got what looks like everything. How come I feel like shit? How come I'm not feeling the respect for myself? That's a big thing. And I went through this was all of these achievements that I would have, everybody would want to heap praise on me for them. And I was already on to the next thing.
Why do you think that was? What work did you do on that? Because this is a big one too, man. You're like hitting every single one. Even I have an issue with this where I can't celebrate anything. I have to move on. It's the next achievement, the next thing. Is that the pedaling real fast on the bike?
Yeah, it could be, but it's you don't because there's part of you that's not aligned and grounded yet. You're not even viewing these achievements as something that great.
Mm.
You just they're just what some people call a throw, other people call a hurl. Yeah, it's I'm going like this, and it's going just as far as you winding up and throwing as hard as you can.
Mhm.
So it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It's okay, great. What does that do for me now? I got to find something else. Because that's the hero complex part of it. If I don't have something else to achieve, then who am I? Who am I? The
Yeah.
belief system is telling you you've got to be the hero. Okay, great. And that's where the burnout comes from. That's an exhausting hamster wheel to be on.
Everybody's burnout. I think a lot of people, if you're not in alignment, then you're
Right.
probably burnout, but it'll get you to go that little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
to
It's
get
like a
whatever
drug.
you need to get done.
Yeah. Right. So you brought up addicts and before. So replace that word with a little more fear to another line.
Yep.
Right. It's not this. I'm not breaking ground here. I'm not inventing this. I'm just discovering it with you understand? Um, it's what I will tell people is if this conversation is making sense to you, you are by no means alone in feeling like this.
Yes. Yes.
Quite frankly, the majority of
Mm.
people have not yet empowered and enlightened themselves, just giving themselves the grace to go back and do some work on yourself. Put everything and everyone else in your life aside. If it's a sick parent you're taking care of, children, your spouse, whatever it is, put everyone else aside and just give yourself the time to be with yourself and work on yourself. And the example I'll give of that, if you're ever on an airplane and they're giving you the safety instructions, what do they tell you? Put
Mm.
your oxygen mask on first
Mm.
so you can then help anybody else. You can't help anybody else truly if you haven't helped yourself yet.
Yeah, and it's so interesting on your 4 pillar framework. A lot of people won't do the awareness, the rewiring, and the alignment. They just want to go to activation. Like in the sense of I'm saying not your program, but most of everything is about motivation. So it's just I just need to be better. And that feeds the ego even more. Like all the stuff that's out there, you read a book and it tells you you need to do more, you need to be better. And here's how you do those things. But if you haven't done the awareness, rewiring, and the alignment, and I know the awareness and rewiring, we talked about that. I want to get into alignment a little bit, if you don't mind.
So,
How do we align ourselves to know what our true purpose is?
well, there isn't a quick answer to that.
Right.
I don't have an alignment pill. That is part of a journey. But I think, let me just give you a real life example and then we can get more into the minutia. When you lead from alignment, your influence deepens. Okay. Your decision making sharpens. You're empowered to create a legacy that's not measured in numbers or not just measured in numbers, but in the lives that you've impacted and the trust that you've earned. And this is how this plays out in real life because this just happened to me within the last 2 months. June 12th is
Mhm.
the exact date. Life proved it to me again and gave me the opportunity to take one of my most meaningful steps in my life. And I became a living kidney donor to my daughter's grandfather, my
Mm.
ex-father-in-law. And this wasn't just a medical decision. It was a personal declaration that I now live in alignment with my values and not my wounds. Jason, leadership isn't a moment. It's a way of life. It's a journey back to your soul, which is the real answer to how do you get in alignment.
Mm.
It's this journey back to your soul, and it's an ongoing practice of returning to who we are beneath our pain. And that's what makes me so grateful to do the work that I do, because I get to share that journey and to honor what it means to come home to yourself. And that's what you have to do to, you've got to come home to yourself. You can only do that with this journey, with this examination of your trauma and your belief system, casting them out, creating your new belief system, creating your I am declaration, declaring what your core values are, and now acting in alignment with those values. And in the beginning, you literally use them as, I had them up on huge Post-its on my walls. So I could literally say, I need to make this decision. Is this in alignment with my values? That's where my bodybuilding background came in, because in bodybuilding, we use something called periodization. Okay. You hit a plateau and you work at that plateau. And once you can, let's say, do 6 bench press reps with X amount of weight, okay, now I can increase a little bit. And then going like that. So you reach for the plateau and then you break through. So your breakdowns become your breakthroughs.
Yes.
And when I could turn and focus and treat everything in my life that way, I was able to break down anything into tiny little steps. And I came up with a core principle that I now teach people, which is, there are no problems, there are only perceptions. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a real bold statement, but leadership coaches, therapists, what have you, they focus on solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do differently now is I reframe entirely based on this one core belief that there really are no problems. There are only perceptions. And this idea first hit me, I think it was like 2008. I was sitting in Washington Square Park, just outside NYU, and I was completely paralyzed by fear, anxiety, and the weight of everything I thought I had lost. And this was when my 8-year relationship broke up. And I remember sitting there watching thousands of people walk by, and they're laughing and living completely unaware of the emotional collapse that I was having inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit me that if I'm the only one feeling the weight of this problem, then it has to be something that I've created.
Mm.
And not in a blaming myself kind of way, but in a kind of power myself kind of way. That realization became the lens through which I began to see everything differently. Because what we call a problem is often just a situation that's stretching us, challenging our current thinking, and exposing the fact that we're not quite ready yet.
Yes.
But you slap the word problem on it, and then we give it weight, and we create emotional resistance, which is
This is great because you sitting on that bench in 2008 and then beginning to make those self-aware realizations,
right.
that is radical accountability. And,
Exactly.
and a lot of people don't, they may think they're accountable, but they're really just good at taking responsibility after the fact.
I tell everybody this. I taught my kids this from the minute they were able to understand the words coming out of my mouth. If something goes wrong in your life, relationship, business, or look for your accountability. Because if you could look how you played a role in this, you can correct it.
Mm-hmm.
If not, you've got to wait for some external force to correct that may never correct.
Mm-hmm.
That person you got in the fight with may never see it your way,
Right.
may never come around. Okay. Whatever that may be, that'll just keep you repeating the same thing. So when we create the emotional resistance, we trigger fear, paralysis, and avoidance. I'm sure these words
Mm.
sending off bells in the listeners' heads, because these are the exact things that you feel. And I promise you, I'm not telling you this because I'm some genius. I'm telling you this because I've lived through it. So here's a little answer to how do you get there. Instead of calling something a problem, ask, Is it a challenge? Is it an invitation to grow? Is it a mirror showing me something I haven't yet owned?
Mhm.
That shift right there turns crisis into growth, resistance into training, and uncertainty into leadership moments. Problems become challenges. Challenges are active and they're solvable and they invite engagement.
Mhm.
And when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this trying to teach me? You unlock a whole new level of clarity. And as I explained before, this mindset shift didn't come from a book. It came from my experience in the gym. All of that helped me to start seeing leadership in the same way as how I built my body and got to stand on stage and get trophies and what have you.
Yeah, and people don't realize how extremely difficult bodybuilding is. It's one of the like I said, it's extreme sport.
If we're
It's super
It's not
hard.
for standing on stage in front of 3,000 people in a banana hammock, being judged on every little muscle in your body. It's excruciating.
Yeah, no, and I know I want to get into this because maybe you could share a maybe it's the 2008 when you're going through the breakup or as a child, but you teach a technique of pausing to ask. And I think this is really powerful. And you mentioned this before, but it's what's the story I'm telling myself right now? But
Sure.
I like the right nows. What's the story am I telling myself right now?
Yeah,
Can you walk us through that? Maybe how you used it or a client used it? Can you help us so that we can reframe the moment?
sure. So let's take somebody who tells me they feel stuck,
Mhm.
right? That I always ask people literally, what are your goals and what are your obstacles? And I cannot tell you how many people come to me and they just say, Mike, like you said, meh. They say, I feel stuck.
Mhm.
I can't get out of this. I can't get out of this malaise. I'm always in the same place, blah, blah, blah. So we slow down and we unpack. What's the real challenge? And
Mhm.
if we're talking leadership, what leadership muscle? Okay. Vision, emotional intelligence, trust. What leadership muscle needs to grow? What outdated belief or pattern is this exposing?
Mhm.
Okay. That's what you have to ask yourself. And it will start to show up over and over, the same thing. So we take what looks like a problem and we break it down into three things: a pattern, perception, and a plan. And from there, everything can start to shift. Instead becomes, this is a moment for realignment. Okay. What's no longer serving our mission? The shift from reactive leadership to
Mhm.
intentional leadership. And just so I'm not pigeonholing this into leadership, that shift is from reaction to intention. Okay. For anybody, that's where all the power lies. Okay. Instead of being reactionary, be intentional. Okay. So consider, try this as a reframing exercise. Think about the biggest problem you have right now, be it in your life or in your leadership. What if it's not happening to you? An opportunity to take the next step in your evolution as a leader or as a person. And by the way, a leader can be a father or a mother.
Mhm.
Okay. It doesn't have to be a captain of industry. Okay. It could be a big brother. It could be a friend. Which of your leadership muscles is the challenge trying to develop? Because once you name the lesson, the problem starts to lose its power. When I was training as a bodybuilder, it's, what tiny muscle do I need to work today? The little tiny muscle in the back of my shoulder, when I go into a double bicep pose, makes my bicep look bigger. If you can look at every challenge like that, it does not have to be physical. What can I work on? What tiny little muscle can I work on? Emotional intelligence, whatever it is, to contribute to overcoming this challenge. And you've referenced pillars that I worked with before. As with regard to leadership and a leadership mindset framework, if we grind that down, what we actually walk through is 5 phases. Okay, we've discussed them already. One, revisit the break. Okay, identify the primal moment where our fear replaced our authenticity. Okay, awareness, recognize the subconscious beliefs and protective patterns driving our leadership decisions. Rewiring, right? Number three, where we replace our fear-based beliefs with identity-based choices. Four is alignment, right? Lead from declared values, not default reactions. That's intention instead of reaction. And then five is activation.
Mm.
Build systems and habits that reinforce the leader you want to be. If you're just a parent and you can't tell your kid, hey, when you drive a car, you should never text and be on your phone while you're driving your car.
Mm.
Okay. Build system and habit. So, what's the system and habit to avoid that? Let your kids see that. When I get in the car, I take my phone, I put it in the glove box or in the center console, and I close those things. Boom. I activate the system on my Apple CarPlay that speaks the texts to me. Very simple, but that is a system. Okay. That's a habit. Okay. You can't tell your kids you need to lead a healthy life and be 60 pounds overweight
Right.
and drinking and crap.
Mm.
What's the system? What's the habit? The system is I'm only going to shop the perimeter of the grocery store where all the healthy foods are. Stay out of the middle aisles. It's all crap. Perimeter of the grocery store. Okay. I'm going to implement intermittent fasting into my life where I only eat for 8 hours a day. Okay. These are systems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very simple systems and habits. And when leaders grow through this process, they stop firefighting and start vision building.
Yes. I want to get into, I have one or two more questions for sake of time, but I want to get into the I am decoration. I know you have
Sure.
that on your, yeah, I mean, it's like bold, like you have the net,
Yeah.
it's right there.
Yeah.
When you talk about using I am declarations to redefine your identity, or
Correct.
maybe you have a skeptic listener who thinks it sounds like empty affirmations, can you explain the mechanism by which saying I am and how it rewires the brain?
Sure. You arrive at this I am declaration after you've gone through a certain amount of work. You believe in each statement, like you believe it as sure as you know your name. Okay. And so repeating that several times a day to yourself until it becomes part of your wiring makes it part of your wiring. Makes it, if somebody says, "Who are you?" What your answer should be, would you like to know my name or would you like to know who I am?
Mm.
Because who I am will really tell you who I am. And I've done this because sometimes people might recognize me, may have seen me somewhere, whatever. And aren't you, blah, blah, and who are you? And I said, if you really want to know who I am, do you have a couple of minutes? Okay. So does that answer your question?
I want to, but so you said after they go through the steps or the four
Sure.
pillars, that's ending of it all. Why would somebody need an I am declaration? Is it because they have to develop a whole new belief system?
It comes as a result of developing their belief system
Mhm. Oh, okay.
because going to be writing, I am the savior. Okay. I am, I, you know, that, that's when you're leading from fear. You got a couple of minutes? I'll do this really quickly for you.
Yeah.
I am a father, husband, ex-husband, son, brother, friend, coach, leader, dreamer, success, failure, and believer that all things are possible. I am fueled by love every day. I am inclusive because I never know where my next lesson is going to come from. I am a true alpha, always learning, always teaching. I am always truthful to myself and to others. I believe that we are limitless. I jump first and build my wings on the way down. I endeavor to see, hear, and understand at the deepest level. I am not confused. I am striving for grace, and I am good to my life. And if
Mm.
you want to know my name, it's Michael Shaw.
Yeah.
Okay. My core values are family and friends, love, health and fitness, humor, knowledge, and empathy. When you can stand on a roof and scream that to the world, I promise you, every decision you make is going to feel like the right decision, regardless of the outcome. This is why the Yankees, my team, I was born in the Bronx, will never win another World Series until they get their shit together and get into alignment. Okay. The reason for that is from when Derek Jeter said it first, where he declared the season is a failure if we don't win the World Series. The Yankees still declare that, but they are not acting in alignment with that declaration. They are acting in alignment with, we're just going to make it to the playoffs and then it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think that's a perfect ending, Michael. I wanna thank you, not just for your time, but your incredible wisdom and your courage, because I know this willingness to share your own story to the world, it's a testament to the work you do, and it's a powerful reminder for each of us as leaders to listening that we can develop the I ams, we can develop our core message and who we truly are. For everyone who's inspired by this conversation, I want everyone to go deeper and I encourage everyone. I know you can go to michaelshawmindset.com, but can you go into, I know you have a powerful resource for our listeners today.
Yeah. So, Jason, first, I want to thank you for giving me the chance to speak to your audience today. For those of you who lead families or lead teams, build businesses, or influence others in any way, you know that leadership isn't just a role, it's an identity. And if you've been feeling the weight of decision fatigue, of self doubt, or the pressure to always have the answer, I want to help you step into a more self aware, grounded, and effective version of yourself. And with that in mind, I'm offering you two absolutely free resources that I normally share with my private clients. And by the way, this is my gift. It's absolutely free. It's no sales pitch, it's no fluff. It's just two powerful tools that I use with my clients to help them get unstuck and start moving forward with clarity and confidence. First is my Fear to Freedom formula. It's a simple but powerful tool to help you quickly identify the patterns, beliefs, and blind spots that may be limiting your influence. And second, I'm inviting you to a 60-minute leadership alignment session where it's one on one, just me and you. We'll unpack the challenges that you're facing, identify where fear or old programming may be steering your decisions, and map out a clear plan so you can lead with confidence, clarity, and purpose.
Mm.
And it's not a sales call, it's a strategy session. And it's my gift to you for being the kind of person, leader, parent that invests in your own growth. So to get both, just DM me the word freedom on Instagram at michaelshaw.mindset. It's MichaelShaw.mindset, michaelshaw.mindset, and I'll send them to you right away. And if you want to stop reacting and start leading intentionally, this is your moment. You can build the version of you that your business, your family, your team, and your legacy need. Honored to be your guide.
That's so awesome. And we'll have that in the link below. Thank you, Michael, for all that you do. And everyone, thank you for tuning into another episode of The Self Aware Leader. Until next time, let's all lead with awareness.